So one more thing about review that we need to discuss is exponents. So what is an exponent, why do we need exponents, and what are the properties of exponents? So an exponent. If I have a number, let's say I'm talking about the number 3, an exponent kind of goes a little bit to the top and to the right of that number. What this means is you're going to take the base, here my base is 3, and you're going to multiply it that many times. So an exponent just means take that number, multiply it that many times. Okay, so what about the number 2 to the third? Take that number, multiply it that many times. That's all it means. So up here I think you get 81 if I did my math right. See, 2 times 2 times 2 I think is 8. That's all an exponent means. It just means take the base, multiply it that many times. So what would 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 be? I mean, you don't want to write that out every time. Well, it'd be 4 to the 5th power. Now, how do you do this on your calculator? On your calculator, you have a caret button. Looks like that. If I want to do 3 to the 4th, I'll do 3 caret 4. If I don't do 2 to the 3rd, I would do 3 caret 3. 4 to the 5th, 3 caret 5. You actually have a squared button on your calculator. So if I wanted to do 4 squared, you don't have to do 4 caret 2. I mean, you can, that's fine. But there's already a pre-made squared button. So you could use that button as well. And it's just, a squared. So it's its own button. Now some properties of exponents. We're going to talk about a couple of them. Let's say I have a number, a, that's going to be my base. This was like the 3 or the 2 or the 4 from before. I have a to the n times a to the m. So this is something like 3 squared times 3 to the 4th. If you write this out, so 3 times 3 and then 4 3s, how many times have I written down the number 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All I do is add the exponents. So if I have 3 squared times 3 to the 4th, because they have the same base, and this only works if they have the same base, you're going to add the exponents, so I get 3 to the 6th. Another property, let's say I have a to the m, then to the n. So this is like saying 3 squared to the 3rd. Let me write this out. That would be, remember, to the 3rd means write it down 3 times. I think we can all agree on that. 3 squared means write 3 down twice. How many times have I just written it down? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is 2 times 3. So if you have a power to a power, you're going to multiply those. Okay. What about a to the negative n? Well, anytime you have a negative exponent, that just means write it on the bottom of a fraction. So instead of writing 3 to the negative 2, that's the same as 1 over 3 squared. 1 over 3 to the 4th. That's the same as 3 to the negative 4. Anytime you move it from the top to the bottom, make that exponent change signs. So let me give you a little bit of a tricky one on this one. What would be 1 over 2 to the negative 3? Well, if I move that 2 to the negative 3 to the top, I just change the sign. Right? Fourth property, let's talk about division. So I have a to the m over a to the n. How could I simplify that? Now I'm going to do an example. 3 to the 3rd over 3 to the 1. So just 3. 3 to the 3rd means write it down 3 times. 3 to the 1 means write it down once. Do I have any canceling that occurs? Well, yeah. Those 2 3's are going to go away. So what am I left with? 3 squared. Now go back to my 2 exponents, this 3 and 1. How did I go from 3 and 1 to 2? Well, subtract them. So if you have a base to a power over a base to a power, you subtract them. So for example, let's say 5 to the 4th over 5, just 5. Well, it's understood that there's a 1 there. We don't write it. If you do 4 minus 1, I'm going to get 3. So 5 cubed. And property 5 is going to be my last one here. Anything to the 0 power is 1. We have to define that because the 0 power comes up sometimes. Anything to the 0 power is 1. I mean, that's why. Another reason we need that, 2 squared over 2 squared. Well, from the previous one, I know that's going to be 2 to the 2 minus 2, which is 2 to 0. But also, anything divided by itself is 1. So we have to define a number to the 0 power to be 1. So let's do an example real quick here. Let's say that I have 3 to the 5th times 3 to the 8th divided by 3 cubed squared. Let's use all the properties that we've just done to simplify this as far as we can. So let's start with the top. If I have the same base being multiplied, what do I do with the powers? Do you multiply them or add them? So think for a second. Should I multiply those or add those? And if it helps you to think about this, this first means write down 3 5 times. This means write down 3 8 times. So hopefully you guessed right. You should add those because I've written down 3 13 times. Now what about the bottom? Do I multiply those exponents or add them? And hopefully you guessed. I get 3 to the 6th. Now I have a fraction. So what do I do when I have the same base in fraction form? Subtract them. So I'm going to get 3 to the 7th power. Alright, so that's it for exponents. We just have all these properties. I'm more interested in, do you know what it means to say 3 to the 4th or 5 to the 7th? Do you know that that means multiply something by itself that exponent number of times?